and wondered whether I'd consider coming out of retirement. He's offering a full wage, though the job's part-time. 10 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, and no weekends. Golly, Marianne said. But I suppose he would have to offer a decent salary, because the girls in the factories are really well paid, I believe. But what about your pension? That's why I'm here today, Miss Harding said. She was staring very hard at the plate of cakes. Ah, chocolate eclairs. Oh, I'd have done murder for a chocolate eclair when I were a kid. As for the pension, it's to sort out such details that Mr. Eccles sent for me. Marianne stared at Libby and made a little jerk of her head, which Libby understood all too well. She leaned forward and propelled the cake stand towards the newcomer. "Would you like one, Miss Harding?" she said politely. "I'm afraid we don't have a spare plate, but you can use mine if you like. I've finished." "I don't mind if I do," Miss Harding said. She extended a plump, very white hand and took the eclair without a second's hesitation, then turned to Marianne. "You've not been approached, I suppose, but of course it's so long since you worked here that I dare say you aren't even on the books anymore." "No, I've heard nothing, but I'm sure you're right and they've forgotten me," Marianne said cheerfully. "But I don't think I would come back even if they asked me to. You see, it's not war work, and like everyone else, I'd rather help the war effort if I could. If it wasn't for Libby here, I'd join one of the services. Neil's in the Navy, so I rather favour the Wrens." Someone told me Mr. Sheridan's an officer, as I recall," Miss Harding said rather thickly. She had demolished the eclair whilst Marianne was speaking, and Libby was forced to admire the speed at which she had gobbled it up, and the fact that not one speck of cream had managed to escape to mar her bright pink lipstick or her powdered cheeks and chin. "I remember him at your wedding. Best-looking feller I ever set eyes on, apart from film stars, of course." She had been carrying a large handbag, which she'd pushed under her chair when she sat down. But now she hooked it out, opened it, and produced a tiny powder compact, flicking it open and peering anxiously at her reflection. She patted her hair, then replaced the compact in her bag and turned once more to Marianne. "That reminds me. Didn't it say on the wireless that children were to be evacuated to the country as soon as war started? Surely little Libby should have gone with her classmates." Libby sighed. It was a remark she had heard all too often back in September and October, although it was voiced less frequently now that a great many parents had reclaimed their children from their foster families. Libby knew that everyone had expected bombs to start falling from the moment war had been declared, and when this had proved not to be the case, a large number of children had returned to their own homes. Schools, which had been shut down, would open again in the new year, but Libby knew that this phony war, as they were calling it, could not last forever. Her father was a first lieutenant on a corvette, which protected the convoys bringing supplies from the United States of America. The merchant ships in his charge had been harassed and attacked by both U-boats and German warships, and he had told Libby the last time he was in port that she would have to leave the city as soon as things began to hot up. But Marianne was answering her old colleague's question as patiently as though she had not done so over and over in the weeks that had elapsed since the 3rd of September. Oh, Libby would have gone all right, but on the very day the children were told to assemble at Lime Street Station, she threw out a rash. It was measles, and she had a really bad attack, followed by tonsillitis. And when that had cleared up, the poor little soul got chicken pox. She wasn't out of quarantine until November, so Neil and I talked it over and decided that I would concentrate on building her up to a former state of health before we let her go anywhere without us. "My goodness," Miss Harding said, looking properly at Libby for the first time. "Now you mention it, she does look a bit peaky. Still, it's best to get all the childish ailments over in one go. I don't suppose I ever told you," she added, turning her gaze back to Marianne. "But the reason I wear glasses were measles."